What is going on, everybody? Today I've got a pretty cool review here. Now, I should say that I've had this pen for almost a year and I just have never gotten around to reviewing it. And it's a shame because it is such a cool pen. And I can say that after having it for a year, it is really worth checking out. This is the Big Eye Designs Ti Ultra. And obviously, I don't need to read the front of the box to you. Fountain pen, rollerball pen, and ballpoint pen. It has an interestingly ingenious way of being able to swap between rollerball, ballpoint, and fountain. And not only that, there's a bunch of options within that, which is pretty cool. I will leave a link to this in the description. If you use that link, it does help out the channel. But you don't have to. But anyway, I just think it's really cool. If it's still in stock, I'll just make, I'll leave a link to it and hopefully it's still there. Super cool. The packaging is pretty nice. So we've got, it shows you here, basically the long and the short of it is that you can swap out. It comes with an extra section. And so you can swap it out. But I'll show you how it works. It's kind of cool. The packaging is actually really nice. We've got a Big Eye Design pen slip that I've actually never used this, but of course it comes with it. We've got the pen itself. So here's the pen. We'll get into it. This is a titanium pen with a screw cap. So we'll get back to that in a second. But one of the things I want to show you here, a couple things, is this is kind of where the magic is. There's a sticker in there and there's some warranty information. There is a baggie of O-rings, and then we have an extra, which we'll get into in a minute. This is a spare Bock number 6 nib unit. And the reason this is a spare is because this is a steel nib unit, because what comes installed in the pen is pretty, I don't know if it's how unique it is, but it's not common, a titanium fine nib. I think it's super, super cool. We'll do a writing sample here in just a few minutes. So here's how this pen works. Let's kind of get into some of the details here. So this is, and we'll get into the switch-o, change-o part of it here in just a minute. So it is, let's see how many turns, I don't even know. About 1.5 turns to get the cap off. What I think is neat is the threads for the cap are not at the end here. They're actually at the end of the section, but you don't feel them when you write. It's got a nice medium-sized grip to it. There's a bit of a step because, anytime you have a flush cap and body, you're going to have that. There's an O-ring here that makes it to where it kind of closes nice, screws close nice and clean. The section is long enough where the step doesn't affect me at all whatsoever. And then the pen, as you can see, is quite long. We'll do some size comparisons in a few minutes. It's not a heavy pen. It's metal, but it's not heavy. And it's really, really cool. So let's go from one end to the other. We've got like a flat finial here. We've got a titanium clip with the TI, which is their logo. And it's like a flat, kind of a pocket knife style clip, if you will, because, kind of EDC-ish here with this titanium. And this brand kind of, they do a lot of stuff in titanium. So this is kind of their jam. And so I just think it's super cool to have that. It's got a nice taper to the back here. The pen does post. So you can post it, and it kind of like clicks on there when it does it. It doesn't backweight it for me, but it depends on your writing style. I don't typically post it though, because I don't know if you can see it, but it'll mark it, I think, after a while if you continue to post it. So I usually typically on a pen like this, I'll just hold the cap in my hand and I'll write, Super, super cool. Now, we've got the titanium nib in there, like I showed you. And that also comes with a spare number 6 Bock nib that basically you don't have to do any setup with. All you have to do is just screw the section out and put the new section in. As far as the fountain pen side of it goes, of course, it is a cartridge converter fountain pen with an international style cartridge, or international style converter, and you can use international style cartridges as well. And then this is where the magic of the pen begins, because you've got this section that now sits totally separate, okay? And if we come back over here to our package, we'll see we've got a completely other section, a second one. And this then has, you can put a roller ball in it, you could put a gel in it, you could put, there's a lot of different nib or pen sections, or pen refills that you could put in it. And now you have a ballpoint or a roller ball. This is a uniball gel, and boom. And what's cool about it is I didn't even have to disassemble anything. I mean, that's still a working nib unit right there. I would imagine, and I don't know this for sure, but I would imagine that you could probably put this in here and that would stay airtight. And then you would not need to, I don't think you would even need to worry about it drying out. I don't know that for sure, but it makes sense to me that it's in a little airtight package there and it would probably not even dry out. I don't know if that's something that you would do all the time or want to do all the time, but yeah, pretty cool. Now, this is really cool. The way this works, because if you don't like this refill that you've got in the ballpoint slash rollerball side of this, the way this works is it's like it's almost like a drill chuck down here. So what you do is there's another little joint right in here, and you twist this, and it loosens sort of like drill chuck, and you can pull this out, and then you can put whatever refill you want in there as long as it fits in there like that. And what's interesting is it grips this part. It doesn't actually grip the pen itself. So as long as the diameter works in that little kind of drill chuck sort of deal, then, I'm sure there's quite a range in there. I didn't try a bunch of different refills. And look at this. You could probably also kind of set the depth of how deep you want it in there and then tighten it up. And then as long as it fits in the body of the pen, right, then it fits and then it works. And that's that. So now you've got yourself a ballpoint or a rollerball or a gel, depending on what kind of refill you want to use. If it was mine, well, it is mine. If it was a pen that I would use all the time, in this scenario, I would probably put a Pilot G2 refill in there. That would be my jam. But I am, of course, predominantly a fountain pen guy. But if you wanted to do the crossover and use it for something different, let's say you were going on a trip and you didn't feel comfortable bringing your fountain pen on the plane. Maybe you are going to an area where you need a type of refill that writes under more adverse conditions. And you just wanted to swap it out and take this on your trip instead of your fountain pen, then boom, you've got the same thing with largely the same writing experience, because the sections are the same diameter. So it would, the distance to the paper might change just a little bit, but overall, the writing experience as far as like the ergonomics and stuff would be largely the same, which is pretty stinking cool. Let's do a couple size comparisons and we'll do a writing sample. All right, so here we have it with a couple of my other sort of EDC, sort of heavier duty take anywhere pens. We've got a Kaweco Sport over here. This is actually the Big Eye Designs Fountain EDC, which we've done a review on in the past in the black DLC. This is the Ti Ultra, a TWSBI Eco for good measure, and the Lamy 2000. So you can kind of see, it's just an average size pen. In fact, you put it next to the Lamy 2000 there, it's a little thicker, maybe a little heavier because of the material, but overall fairly similar. Bigger section though. Let's go ahead and post these pens up. Fairly good comparison. It's really similar, maybe a little bit longer than the Lamy 2000. But it's just a pen. It's just kind of the shape of a pen. You know, the TWSBI Eco gets a little bit longer than is fair because it posts so long, right? But if you look at them unposted and you just look at the body lengths, they're fairly similar. So, you know, it's just it's an average size pen. A little heavier, but not terribly. Let's go ahead and do a writing sample. We're going to just use the Rhodia dot grid paper. Again, this is a Big Idea Designs. I think it's called the Ti Ultra. And this is a fine Bock titanium nib. I think it's kind of their number 6, and it seems to perform pretty much like that. Now let's talk about the writing experience with this nib. So this nib is interesting because it's got more feedback and more feel than a steel nib. It feels more like a pencil, maybe even more so than a Sailor, but it has a lot of bounce to it. I wouldn't push it too hard because you can probably get it to railroad pretty quickly. And I don't know how easy it is to spring titanium. I'm not really sure. But it does sound different and feel different. In fact, here, let me see if I can, hang on. So it has a sound, and it feels kind of like a pencil, to tell you the truth. It's not that glassy feeling of like a gold nib, or even the glassy feeling of a really well-tuned Jowo that you would find on like a Leonardo or you know, like an Edison or something. It's different. It's not rough. It's not scratchy. It's just different. And, you know, I could have gone, because I had the option, and swapped it out for the Bock steel nib. And I did. And I played it with that for a little bit. But I'm like, then it's kind of like the uniqueness of this as a fountain pen sort of goes away. And it's just like a fountain pen. Where, okay, yes, it's not, you know, the coolest, fanciest thing ever, but it's so cool. I just love the feeling and the uniqueness of the titanium. And that's kind of what makes this pen cool to me. And so, because I like titanium, I think titanium is cool. I mean, I have it in my body because of injuries, and so I'm kind of a titanium nut. So I think it's super cool. And, you know, it's a great pen. It's tough. You can beat it around. You can throw it in your backpack. It seals up well. It comes with extra O-rings to make sure that it keeps sealing up well. It never dries out. This pen doesn't get used very often. I have it in a file folder, or like in a folder folio in one of my backpacks. So it only gets used a couple of times a week, or maybe once a week, and it always works. It never starts up hard. It never does anything it shouldn't do. It never leaks. It never leaks in the cap. It's just super, super reliable. And then if I wanted to go on a trip, or I went in a situation where I was not going to have a fountain pen, I could just swap out this for, you know, a G2, Pilot G2, and, you know, you're off and running, and it's awesome. I think this whole idea is super cool. The other person that this might be for is, let's say you're, you know, an EDC guy. Let's say you have cool pocket knives and you have other stuff, but you're not sure how into the fountain pen thing you want to go. Then you can default the opposite direction, default to the rollerball, and then maybe just get some preloaded cartridges and pop them in here for whenever you want to use them, you know, which is pretty cool. So exploring the fountain pen realm. And even if you ended up not liking the fountain pen, for what this pen costs and the features that you get and everything you get with it, I think that if you never used the fountain pen side and you just wanted a really nice rollerball, it would still be worth what it costs. To get the most out of it, I think you use both, but I think either way, it's a really fantastic pen. I'll leave a link to it in the description. Like I said, if you use those links, it helps out the channel. However, I bought this with my own money. I bought this at the Atlanta Pen Show Atlanta Knife Show last year. And I really, really enjoy it. I've been using it ever since. I hope you dig it. Please do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and the like button, and we will talk to y'all in the next video.